Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Knowledge for Growth. This is the first part of our two video series on the spread of British rule in India. We will start our lesson by going through a brief introduction of the topic. Then we will learn about Bengal in the 18th century, following which we will know about the British settlements in Bengal and how their supremacy gradually rose in Bengal. After that, we will study two of the most important battles in the history of India, which are the Battle of Palasi and the Battle of Buxar, and finally end our study with the beginning of the British rule in India. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then please do so. This motivates me a lot. So let's begin. Introduction. The British East India Company was founded in 1600 in England. Initially, it was only interested in trade and had to content itself with working around the fringes of the Mughal Empire. On 31st December 1600, a group of merchants who had incorporated themselves into the East India Company were given monopoly privileges of all trade with the East Indies. The company's ships first arrived in India at the port of Surat in 1608. Sir Thomas Roe reached the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir as the emissary of King James I in 1615 and gained for the British the right to establish a factory at Surat. Over the years, they saw a massive expansion of their trading operations in India. Numerous trading posts were established along the east and west coast of India, and considerable English communities developed around the three presidency towns of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. In 1717, the company achieved its hitherto most notable success when it received a farman or royal dictate from the Mughal emperor exempting the company from the payment of custom duties in Bengal. 18th century Bengal. The present West Bengal in India and almost the whole of Bangladesh was the richest province of Mughal India. Bengal was the only bright spot where prosperity prevailed, and it was the only mine of silver left in the Mughal Empire. Murshid Quli Khan, who was appointed the Diwan of Bengal in 1700, remained at the realm of affairs till his death in 1727. Then his son-in-law Suja governed the province for 14 years, while the rest of India was distracted by fratricidal wars, Maratha invasions and Jat uprisings. The northern India was devastated by the invasion of Nadir Shah and Ahmed Shah Abdali. Bengal, on the whole, remained tranquil. Trade, commerce, industries and agriculture all prospered. There was a huge phenomenal growth of foreign trade during this period. Dhaka exported nearly 30 lakh rupees worth of cloth to Asian countries. Foreign trade stimulated industry and added to the prosperity of the country. Bengal goods were in great demand in East and West Asian countries, in Africa and in Europe. The Dutch, the English and the French had a number of settlements and factories in different parts of Bengal. Progress in trade, industry and agriculture stimulated the growth of urban centers and banking, which is illustrated by the rise of Jagat Seths, that is, world bankers. Hooghly, which was the most important port of Bengal, gradually grew into a great center of culture. The population of Calcutta increased and Dhaka and Murshidabad became populous cities. The British settlements in Bengal. Between the years 1633 and 1663, the English factories in Bengal aimed at nothing more than peaceful trade under the protection of the Mughal power. In 1690, Job Charnock laid the foundation of Calcutta as an English settlement. 7 years later, a fortified factory known as Fort William was built, which was made the seat of a new presidency, officially called the presidency of Fort William in Bengal in 1700. With the growth of population at Sutanuti, the English tried to expand the area of this settlement by buying two adjacent villages, Kolikata and Govindapur. These three villages formed the nucleus of the future metropolitan city of Calcutta. The English enjoyed the greatest advantage of trade in Bengal on payment of rupees 3,000 a year in lieu of all customs and other dues. This was an imperial order issued in 1691. 18th century Bengal. After the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, the English, apprehending monarchy and civil war, began the fortification of their trade assets. Murshid Quli Khan, the de facto Nawab of Bengal, grew jealous of the trade and prosperity of the English and thought it unjust that they should have the right to trade free or for a small consideration while his own subjects were denied the privilege. So in 1713 he annulled all the privileges of the English and ordered that they should thereafter pay the same duties as the local merchants. Upon this, the English sent an embassy under John Sherman to the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shah. As a result of this mission, the English were able to get three farmans in their favor. These farmans, issued in July 1717, which were popularly known as the Farrukh Shah Farman, granted the English company privileges to trade duty-free in Bengal in lieu of an annual payment of rupees 3,000 to settle wherever it pleased and to rent 38 villages in the vicinity of Calcutta. Murshid Quli Khan did not object to the exemption of the English trade from the custom duties, but it did not permit the renting of 38 villages in the neighborhood of Calcutta. The English also had the right to issue dastaks or passes for the movement of their goods. This had been done under the farman or order by the Mughal emperor. This farman always created a conflict between the English and the Nawabs of Bengal. It not only created loss of revenue to the state but was misused by the English traders. They often issued dastaks on their private trade to evade taxes. During the reign of Murshid Quli Khan, in spite of occasional interruptions, the trade of the English East India Company in Bengal steadily prospered. When Alivardi Khan came to the Gaddi of Bengal, he was very conscious of the importance of foreign trade for the economic prosperity of Bengal. Therefore, he did not willfully injure the interests of the traders, whether European or Asian, but he was opposed to the attempts of the English to strengthen their fortifications in Calcutta. Rise of British supremacy in Bengal. The trade agreements which the English had made with the Mughal emperor was very unfavorable for the Mughals, particularly because the company's trade was now far more prosperous than it had been in the mid-17th century. Murshid Quli Khan wanted the English to pay customs duties, but they increased their military establishments. The construction of Fort William was finished in 1716, and in 1718 the Nawab asked them not to strengthen their fortifications at Calcutta. He realized the importance of external trade and encouraged foreign merchants to put all of them on an equal footing. In 1735, the English admitted that Nawab Sujauddin was too absolute to regard any orders from court in their favor. Alivardi Khan exercised some control on the English traders. His reign synchronized with the two Carnatic Wars. The Carnatic Wars referred to a series of military conflicts between the British East India Company and the French East India Company, along with the role played by the Nawabs of Carnatic and the Nizam of Hyderabad. Alivardi, as a precaution against the projection of the Anglo-French struggle into Bengal, opposed the attempts of both companies to strengthen their fortifications at their principal settlements in Bengal, which were Calcutta and Chandanagar. Towards the close of his reign, the English began to repair and strengthen their fortifications at Calcutta. Sirajuddaula, who was in power for a brief period of 1 year from 1756 to 1757, was the grandson of Aliburdi, who succeeded him and left free to lead a riotous life. Everyone trembled at the name of Sirajuddaula. In May 1756, Siraj started for Purnia to deal with the rebellious Shaukat Jung, but he retreated from Rajmahal on receipt of the news of the defiant attitude of the English at Calcutta. Calcutta was attacked and taken. Then followed an effective expedition against Purnia. Shaukat Jung was defeated and killed in the Battle of Manihari. Siraj was now at the zenith of his fortune. He received an imperial farman confirming him in the Subedari of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Sirajuddaulla's rupture with the English was due to the crisis that lay in the company's desire to improve its position and enhance its influence in Bengal. The renewal of the Anglo-French War in Carnatic made it necessary for the English to make a bid for a firmer foothold in Bengal, which was an important source of supply for their army. The presence of the French at Chandanagar, so close to Calcutta, called for improvement of the defences of Fort William. Siraj ordered them to stay as traders and not masters. The French complied, but the English did not. They wanted to gain control and dictate their own terms. The capture of Calcutta. Siraj had reasonable grounds to seek a settlement of accounts with the English. Under his orders, the Qasim Bazar factory was invested, occupied and looted in May 1756. He personally led an attack on Calcutta and after some resistance, the city fell. Governor Drake and several other officers disgracefully deserted the city when its fall seemed imminent, and they escaped to Falta. Siraj renamed Calcutta as Aligarh after the name of his grandfather Aliburdi. Holwell and a number of Europeans surrendered. All these prisoners were crowded in a chamber 18 feet by 14 feet 10 inches with only one window throughout the hot night of June. According to Holwell, they numbered about 165 or 170. The next morning, only about 16 came out alive, the rest being suffocated to death. The British historians call this event the Black Hole Tragedy. But Siraj was not personally responsible for the consequences of the confinement of the prisoners, which was arranged by his officers. Clive made a surprise attack on the Nawab in which the Nawab's losses far exceeded those of the English, and 4 days later, on February 9, 1957, the Treaty of Alinagar was signed. Calcutta was taken back by the English under Robert Clive in the beginning of 1757. The Nawab was pressurized to accept all the demands of the British. Of course, these demands were not acceptable to the Nawab. This resulted in the Battle of Palashi between the company and the Nawab in June 1757. Sirajuddaulla was defeated and Mir Jafar was proclaimed the Nawab. The Battle of Palashi, 1757. Sirajuddaulla was defeated and killed by the British in the Battle of Palashi in 1757. It was one of the most significant events in Indian history. This battle paved the way for British conquest of Bengal and eventually the whole of India. Mir Jafar, the new puppet Nawab installed by the British, granted the East India Company the right to collect revenue and also the right to free trade. Cause of defeat in Palashi. There were many reasons for the defeat of Sirajuddaulah. He was betrayed by his own officers and merchants such as Mir Jafar and Jagat Seth. The British had superior naval power. Sirajuddaulah was inexperienced and young. He did not make any attempt to gain support from the French. Consequences of the battle. Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. However, the real power was in the hands of British. He paid to the company a sum of rupees 1 crore 77 lakh. The company got right to trade in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha without paying any taxes. The company also received the zamindari of 24 parganas of Bengal. It means English East India Company changed from being a trading company to a political power. It possessed considerable land territory which now needed a strong army to maintain and protect. It gave British a foothold in India. Bengal's rich resources were now available to the British to defeat other European powers. Victory raised the power of Britishers. The verdict of Palashi was confirmed by the English victory at Buxar in 1764. During the intervening years, the commercial character of the English became predominantly political because Mir Jafar was weak in character. Clive's firmness and ingenuity pushed him into helplessness. The Marathas lost for some years their military power and political ascendancy as a result of their defeat at Panipat, and the French suffered complete shipwreck in South India. The Battle of Buxar was significant for it led to the rise of British rule. After this victory, the English company took over all the internal affairs of Bengal. Now they had to subdue the Afghans and Marathas before they could establish their supremacy in India. The Battle of Buxar, 1764. Mir Qasim, the son-in-law of Mir Jafar, was made the new Nawab by the East India Company. Mir Jafar failed to meet the company's demand. The new Nawab, however, became unpopular with the British soon because of the following measures he undertook: modernization of the army, attempt to improve the finances of Bengal, attempt to check the misuse of trade privileges of the British, abolition of taxes on internal trade, which was to the dislike of the British. Mir Qasim forged an alliance with the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II and the Nawab of Awadh, Shuja-ud-Dawla. Their combined forces fought with the British forces at Buxar on October 1764, but the combined forces were defeated by the British. With this victory, the company became the real masters of Bengal. Some major consequences of the Battle of Buxar. The Battle of Buxar was the result of Qasim's alliance with Shuja. The impact of the defeat fell exclusively on Shuja. One single blow reduced the most important and influential ruler of North India to dust. He made desperate efforts to continue fighting but was deserted by his troops. He became a fugitive, seeking aid and shelter from his hereditary foes, the Rohilla and the Bangas Afghans, as also the Marathas. His two Subhas, Awadh and Allahabad, came under effective English occupation. When all his efforts failed, he sought security in the unconditional surrender to the English. Shah Alam had already found shelter with the English. Buxar was a great victory for the English in the military sense. At Palashi, Sirajuddaullah's defeat was due to the treachery of his own generals. At Buxar, the English emerged victorious without the aid of treachery in Shuja's camp. Beginning of British rule in Bengal. Clive returned to Calcutta in May 1765 as governor of Bengal for the second time. The problem of the company's relations with Shuja and Shah Alam awaited solution. Although the former territory were under the occupation of the English army, annexation was ruled out. The assumption of administrative responsibility for the two subas would be an experiment which had not yet been tried even in Bengal and was beyond the company's capacity. Vansittart, the then English governor of Bengal, had promised oath to Shah Alam, but Clive knew that he would not be able to maintain himself there without the help of English. Shuja, on the other hand, was likely to provide a better security for Bengal's western frontier. Clive made the final settlement through the Treaty of Allahabad with Shuja ud Dowla. Shuja's old dominions were restored to him with the exception of Kora and Allahabad, which were given to Shah Alam. He was required to pay a war indemnity of rupees 50 lakhs and to allow the company to trade duty-free in his dominions. The Treaty of Allahabad was signed by Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. By this treaty, Shah Alam II granted Diwani rights of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa to the company. Now, the company has to collect revenues from these provinces and to pay to the Nawab a fixed sum of rupees 53 lakh a year. The company also granted the emperor an annual pension of rupees 26 lakhs. Robert Clive established a dual system of government in Bengal. By this system, the Nawab looked after the administration of law and order, whereas the company kept in its own hand the charge of collecting revenue. Though the responsibility to look after the welfare of the people lay with the Nawab, the actual power lay with the English. When Warren Hastings was appointed governor of Bengal in 1772, he took the mask of Mughal sovereignty and decided to rule Bengal by the right of conquest. Thus, in less than 2 decades, the actual power in Bengal was transferred from the Nawabs of Bengal to the East India Company, and this richest province was reduced to acute poverty and misery, which was further followed by famines and epidemics. In 1776, the Great Famine killed an estimated 10 million Indians in Bihar and Bengal, approximately one-third of the population of the Bengal Presidency. After the Battle of Buxar, the English recalled their old puppet Mir Jafar to the throne of Bengal, who, by accepting the English condition of numerically limiting the forces in Bengal, crippled himself militarily. The weakness of his character, accentuated by bitter political experience and a crippling disease, made impossible to play an effective role in politics and administration. The capture of Bengal opened the floodgates of British colonialism and imperialism in India, reducing the rich economy of the country. Mir Jafar's death a few months later completed the establishment of the company's power in Bengal. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel because this motivates me a lot. Thank you.